The Last of Us ending is one of my favorite video game endings I've ever played. It was such a powerful, unresolved ending, I guess you would call it, that when I heard they were making a sequel, I was pretty concerned. Before any of the, before any of the leaks, before any of the bad reception to that game, the controversy around it, I guess, felt like where they left things off with Joel and Ellie was essentially perfect. It left you thinking, it left you hanging, and it sparked a debate about, was Joel right for what he did? And obviously there are spoilers going forward in this conversation. The Last of Us TV show follows the video game almost to a T. I mean, obviously there's some differences, but by and large, what happens in the game happens in the show. Joel and Ellie make it to Salt Lake. There's a wonderful scene of the giraffes at the sort of post-apocalyptic zoo, which is nice because Ellie, of course, is after her encounter with the cannibals and her real near rape experience. She's not feeling herself. She's down. She's distant. Joel, you can tell, is really worried, and when they see those giraffes, it kind of, I don't know, it's just a moment of beauty, and it allows her to sort of shake off that whatever's dragging her down, Not that it, fixes all her ills, but it breaks that darkness, and for a moment, there's light. Pretty soon thereafter, after some more like heartfelt bonding moments between the two of them and some puns from the pun book, the Fireflies come. They throw a little stun grenade at Joel and Ellie. They capture her. They knock him out, and he wakes up later in the hospital. And Marlene is there. Marlene tells him that they think they can find a cure. That the doctors believe that Ellie that Ellie was infected at birth. And we see the birth scene. Actually, we get that. This is a little different from the game. We get at the beginning a flashback to Ellie's mother, pregnant, running into a house away from cordyceps infected. And this woman is played by Ashley Johnson, who is the voice and motion actor for Ellie in the video games, as well as the voice actor for Pike in The Legend of Vox Machina, which is a wonderful show you should be watching on Amazon Prime. But she has a great and very distinct voice. So even if you didn't recognize Ashley Johnson, if you played the game, you would recognize her voice immediately as the voice of Ellie. And she's just great. I love her. But she is attacked while giving birth and bitten. And Marlene finds her. And we learn that Marlene and her were like childhood friends, basically. Marlene finds her sitting there with her baby, who she names Ellie, and she's sitting there with her switchblade pointed at her neck so that if she starts to turn, she can off herself before she kills her own child. But Marlene gets there in time and promises to look after Ellie, and then, when Ellie's mother begs her to kill her, she does. And that gives us kind of a little more Ellie origin story, Ellie and Marlene origin story, and it's a great and perfect cameo for Ashley Johnson. I think they'd handled that really well. She gets to not be, she's not Ellie, but she's Ellie's mother, and that's kind of wonderful. Anyways, so when Marlene tells Joel that the only way for them to find the cure is to extract essentially material from her brain, which will kill her. And he says, "You don't understand. You can't do that." She says, "I do. I'm the only person who understands." But Joel is not convinced that this sacrifice for the greater good is the right thing to do, and he takes action. They try to throw him out. They're going to take him to the highway and leave him with his pack and do the surgery on Ellie. She has not been told what's happening. She's been just put under. And Joel fights his way free from his guards, gets their gun, and proceeds to kill everybody. It's a really excellent scene. They filmed this really well. I wasn't sure how they do it. Obviously, in the game, this essentially the same thing happens, but you have to fight your way through all these, all these guards and stuff. And in the game, of course, this isn't quite as big a deal. You've been fighting your way through Fedra guards and bandits and zombies the whole time. In the show, there has never been a gunfight quite of this magnitude for Joel. And he just shoots his way through the hallways like a killing machine. It's handled really well because while he's as powerful as a video game hero, it's shot in a way where you could just see how he's taking them by surprise. He's got the drop on them, and he's just better and more motivated. He's a true believer, and they're just doing their job. So he blasts his way through. The other kind of great video game moment was right before the drafts when he has to boost Ellie up so she can get a ladder and push it down to him. It's just a thing you do in the video game a lot. I chuckled. But anyways, he blasts his way through. When the doctor tries to stop him with a scalpel, he shoots the doctor dead. And that will have far-ranging consequences for the coming seasons, believe me. But he demands that the nurses unhook Ellie from the surgery stuff. He takes her down into the parking garage, and he finds a van. But before he can get to it, Marlene shows up. She says, it's not too late. You can still do the right thing. Like, she can save the world. And he said, he says it's not for you to decide. And then she says, well, it's not for you to decide either. Like, let's ask Ellie what she wants to do. And it looks like Joel might be, finally agreeing with her, but then he shoots Marlene and kills her. And he escapes with Ellie and tells her a lie. He tells her that there were dozens of other people that were immune, that they still couldn't find a cure, that they tried and failed, and that the hospital was then attacked by raiders, and he barely got out of there alive with her. She does not seem convinced by this lie. And when they get back to Wyoming and they're overlooking Jackson, she asks him to swear that he's telling the truth about what happened. And he swears. And she says, okay. And then it ends. I just thought this was so well done. For one thing, just because, again, this is largely the way it was handled in the game, obviously, with a few differences, but really sticking to what happened and leaving us with that moral question. Do you sacrifice the individual for the greater good? Or do you save Ellie, even though it could mean that the world remains, in this post-apocalyptic state? Do you sacrifice the individual for the community, or do you essentially sacrifice? See, I don't think the opposite of that question is, do you sacrifice the community to save the individual? My answer to this question is, if you don't protect the innocent, then there is no greater good. If you sacrifice a child to save the world, then the world isn't worth saving in the first place. That's my personal belief. I'm on Joel's side on this one. If that was my daughter, I would fight to save her, and I would kill anyone trying to hurt her in the process. Absolutely. Because if you don't protect the innocent, and if you don't protect your family, and if you don't stand up for the individual within the community, then the community is not worth saving in the first place. There is no greater good if you sacrifice the individual. And I don't think that this is a question purely of like individualism versus like the collective. I believe that there's just a fundamental question of right and wrong. And I think it's totally fine to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. It's a totally different question when you're sacrificing somebody else. Marlene says she has no other choice but to sacrifice Ellie, but that's not true. The other choice is to continue searching for a cure another way. For one thing, also, this is not a moral question. This is a question of practicality. There's no certainty that just going in there and taking that shit out of her brain would lead to a cure. They don't know that. These are not like, these Firefly doctors might think that they know what they're doing, but no one else has been able to find a cure, including, very, very well-educated specialists. So they're just gambling with an innocent girl's life here. And maybe they think it's the best chance they've got, but they could also just kill an innocent person for nothing. So I'm curious what you think here. I know there's been a lot of discussion over this topic over the years, and I have never once changed my opinion on it. I do believe that it's important to be able to change your opinion on things, but from the very, very beginning, I've always, first of all, tried to put myself in Joel's shoes, and as a father, that's not hard to do. But also just question, you have to question, like, what is the value? What makes society valuable? What makes society strong? And what makes this life worth living? What is the point of all of this? And I think if you start to just, in any society, in any country or system of government or whenever the individual is made to be just part of a cog in a machine, even for the greater good, then that society has become amoral, and it no longer really has a basis for continuing. You cannot build a healthy, moral society that disregards the welfare of individual people and would sacrifice the life of someone who is innocent. And this is why, my fundamental beliefs are anti-violence, and I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't believe in, I think that we need to, anyways, I'm not going to go on and on about it. I would like to hear what you guys think. The second game, and we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers here. The second game, one of the reasons I feel so conflicted about it is that it felt to me playing it, and I probably should replay it, but it felt to me that the game itself had come up with an answer to this question, and that answer was that Joel was wrong, that he did something fundamentally wicked and should pay for it. Not just, in the revenge story that, Abby and her revenge on Joel, but on Ellie's attitude towards Joel, and on just the way that Joel is presented in this game as having done something terrible, when in reality, I think he did the only thing that he could at that point. There was no talking his way out of this one. He turned to the only thing he could do, which was to fight to save his daughter. And I have a hard time understanding the other side of this. You could say that it was wrong for him to lie to her. That I could see that. Even if he's doing it to protect her to some degree, I think he was also doing it to protect his relationship with her. But to say that he was wrong to save her, I just can't. I feel like abstractly you can say, yes, it's okay to sacrifice someone for the greater good, but when it becomes more personal, it becomes more intimate, when it comes right down to it, what kind of father would you be to let your daughter die on the chance that she might save the world? And this isn't even a Sophie's choice, right? It wasn't like he had to choose between saving her or saving another innocent life. That's a whole nother bag of worms. This was just either he could walk away, let her die, maybe save the world, or he could fight to protect someone he loves. And to me, there's only one option there. There's not two. There's only one. And Marlene said she has no choice. Well, Joel had no choice. Could he have left it up to her? I don't think so. She's a kid. I don't think it's fair to put that on her shoulders. That's more debatable, though. What do you think about that? Should Ellie have been allowed to choose for herself? And the Fireflies didn't give her that choice. Joel didn't give her that choice. So many interesting questions come up in this episode and in this game. So let me know. I'm always curious. I you know my position. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this season. I thought it got a little iffy in the middle, but had a strong start and a strong finish. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the coming seasons and what is in store. So shout out in the comments, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Peace.